They're pulling away. Maybe they're not texting back like they used to. Maybe they're suddenly distant, cold, unavailable. And your instinct, lean in, chase, get them back. But here's the truth. Most people won't tell you. That instinct, the urge to close the gap, is the very thing that pushes them further away. Because when you chase, you're not just moving toward them. You're moving away from yourself, and that's what kills the connection. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do when someone starts pulling away, how to stay grounded in your own energy, how to stop sending out anxious, needy signals, and how to shift the dynamic without losing yourself in the process. If you've ever found yourself checking your phone over and over, crafting the perfect message just to get a response, wondering what you did wrong, or trying to fix yourself to be chosen again, you're not alone. I've been there, and I had to learn the hard way. But what I discovered is this: the moment you stop chasing and start choosing yourself, everything changes. Not because you're playing games, but because you're taking back your power. You're shifting your energy from "please come back" to "I trust myself enough to let go." And when you do that, they feel it, they notice it, and often they come back. But by then, you're not desperate anymore. You're centered. Let's break down the exact dynamic that makes people pull away and how to respond in a way that feels calm, powerful, and real. Attraction is about energy, polarity, movement, and when someone pulls back, the natural urge is to go after them, to fix it, close the gap, recreate the closeness. But here's what that actually does. It signals that your emotional stability depends on their response. It tells them without a word, "I need you to feel okay with me. I'll abandon my center to stay close to you." That's not attractive, that's pressure. And people feel it. They feel your fear, your need for validation, your chase energy. And instinctively, they pull further away. Because chasing says, "I don't feel worthy unless you choose me." And no one wants to carry that weight. The irony? The moment you stop chasing and start holding your frame, the tension dissolves. You stop leaking energy. You become grounded again, attractive again. You're no longer trying to be chosen. You're choosing yourself. You're no longer reacting. You're responding. And that shift in energy, that's what draws people in. It's not about silence. It's about presence. Not about games, but about grounded clarity. Because chasing isn't leadership. Chasing is insecurity in motion. Here's something most people overlook in relationships. People don't just hear what you say. They feel what you feel. You can say all the right things. Send the perfect text. Play it cool on the outside. But if the energy behind it is anxious, needy, or desperate, they'll feel it. We're emotional antennas. We pick up on each other's vibe long before we process the words. So if someone's pulling away and you're panicking inside, even if you don't say a word, they'll feel that tightness. They'll feel that subtle emotional pressure. And they'll instinctively create more distance. You're not chasing with your actions. You're chasing with your energy. That's why stepping back physically isn't enough. You have to step back emotionally. You bring the focus back to you. You soften the grip. You let go of needing a response, a reply, or a reaction. You trust that if something's meant for you, it won't require force. And when you do that, they feel that too. They feel the freedom, the shift, the lack of pressure. And suddenly the space between you doesn't feel heavy, it feels open. That's what makes them lean in. Because people don't chase freedom, they move toward it naturally. When they start pulling away, it feels like you have two choices: chase them or lose them. But there's a third move most people don't consider: shift your energy. Not as a strategy, not as a manipulation, but as a return to yourself. Because attraction doesn't come from chasing, it comes from presence, from calm, from self-respect. When you pull back your energy, not just your actions, something powerful happens. You stop broadcasting lack, you stop sending "choose me" energy, and you return to center. That shift, it's not about silence, it's about stillness. It's about not abandoning yourself just to stay connected to someone else. Because people can sense when your attention is on them too tightly. And they can feel when you've pulled it back, when your energy is calm, full, and self-directed. Now, the space you gave them isn't punishment. It's freedom. It's magnetism. It gives them room to breathe and realize your value on their own. So when they pull away, don't panic. Don't lean in. Pull back not to punish them, but to protect you. That's how attraction grows in the quiet. That's how connection deepens without chasing it. Most people fear space. They think if they step back, they'll be forgotten. They think distance equals disconnection. But in healthy dynamics, space creates respect. Because when you allow someone space, you're saying, I trust you. I don't need to control this. I know who I am, even when you're not here. That energy is powerful. It says, I'm whole. It says, you matter, but I don't need you to complete me. And when someone feels that, they feel safe. They're not being pulled, they're being invited. And that creates polarity. Because now, instead of clinging, you're calm. Instead of convincing, you're centered. Instead of begging, you're balanced. People begin to respect you more because they feel that you respect yourself. And with that respect comes something else, desire. When someone feels free around you, they become curious again. They wonder what you're thinking. They notice your absence. They start to lean in not because you pulled them, but because your grounded energy gave them room to return. So don't fear space. Use it. Let it do the heavy lifting for you. Because space isn't silence. It's self-worth in action. And that's where real connection begins. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean walking away bitter or pretending you don't care. It means you stop trying to control what isn't yours to hold. And that's power. Because the more you try to grip someone who's slipping away, the more they feel it, and the more they resist. But when you stop reaching and return to your center, something shifts. You're no longer waiting for a message. You're no longer tying your mood to their behavior. You're not performing to be picked. You're choosing yourself fully and unapologetically. You're grounded. And that grounded energy says, I choose me, with or without you. That's the energy people respect. That's the energy that actually draws connection back in. Because now, your worth doesn't feel negotiable. It feels embodied. And the moment you shift into that space, you stop chasing, you stop explaining, you stop proving, and you start attracting. Because people aren't drawn to the one who needs them. They're drawn to the one who doesn't need them, but still chooses them freely. Letting go doesn't make you weaker. It makes you magnetic. It says, I'm not afraid to walk because I know what I bring. Chasing isn't always about the person in front of you. Sometimes it's about someone in the past who didn't show up when you needed them. A parent who was emotionally unavailable. A caregiver who made you feel like love had to be earned. Moments in childhood where you had to fight for attention, affection, or approval. So now, when someone pulls away, it's not just them you're chasing. It's the feeling of being enough. That's why it feels urgent. That's why it hurts. Because deep down, it's not about them choosing you. It's about finally proving you're worthy. But here's the truth. That worthiness was never up for debate. You were always enough, they just couldn't see it. So now, you don't need to recreate that wound. You don't need to chase people who pull away just to prove your value. You don't heal abandonment by getting someone to stay. You heal it by refusing to abandon yourself. When you choose your own worth first, you stop reenacting old patterns and you start creating new ones. That's the work, and that's the breakthrough. Because when you stop chasing the wound, you start attracting what's real love, respect, and connection without the performance. The moment you stop chasing others and start choosing yourself, everything changes, not just in your relationships, but in your energy, in your posture, in the way people respond to you. Because choosing yourself isn't just a mindset, it's an energy shift. You walk differently, you speak differently, you carry yourself like someone who knows their value. You stop needing validation and start radiating self-trust. And that's not arrogance, it's self-respect. When you stop sending energy to someone who's pulling away, when you stop trying to convince them of your worth, you start magnetizing people who already see it. You shift from trying to earn love to allowing it. You shift from being reactive to being rooted. Because now you're not trying to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself, fully, clearly, calmly. And in that clarity, you become unshakable, unbothered, unchased but deeply wanted. You stop chasing love, and you start attracting it. You stop proving, and you start embodying. So whether they come back or not becomes irrelevant, because your peace is no longer attached to their presence. That's the power of choosing you, and that's where it all begins. If they're pulling away, the old version of you would chase, would overthink, would beg for answers, would try to prove your worth. But the version of you now, you pause, you pull back, you return to yourself. Because now you understand that your value was never something to prove. And their distance doesn't determine your worth. It only reflects where they are not who you are. You've learned the power of energy. That people feel what you feel. And the more grounded you are, the more magnetic you become. You've learned that space creates desire. That stillness builds attraction. That letting go doesn't mean losing, it means leading with clarity. So whether they come back or fade away, you don't chase, you don't crumble, you stay calm, centered, solid, because you don't need to be chosen anymore. You've already chosen yourself, and that's the most powerful move you'll ever make. If this resonated, hit that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe for more content that keeps you in your power. Because on this channel, we don't chase, we don't beg. We lead with clarity and let the rest align.